I want to talk to you about recovery, and it's about time we talked about it. As most people who are here have probably found out, um, I follow one of the heathen paths. Heathen being a religion based on the Old Norse polytheistic paganism, where there were worship of many deities: Odin, Thor, Loki, Freya, Frigga, and others. And I've come to that belief rationally, that this belief basically best speaks of me, of who I am. The problem we have is that much of the literature of recovery is written in very Judeo Christian terminology, especially the 12 steps. So if you're not Jewish or Christian or Muslim or a monotheist, how do you follow it? Well, the beauty of it is that by removing the religious language and looking in clear, rational terms, recovery is possible for any of us. And we could do it without the religious overtones, without the superstition. Like I say, I'm clean and sober for 30 years. I've seen a lot. I know what works. So I'm going to share my observations with you. And one of them is that nobody arrives here unscathed. The prerequisite, the price for seeking recovery, is that on some level, in some way, maybe in many ways, in many levels, you have suffered tragedy. Something is wrong. You may have lost jobs, you may have lost relationships, you may have lost prestige, you may have lost homes, you may have lost your freedom, you may have lost your mind or your health, but one or more levels, some kind of loss has brought you here. In some way, your life has been out of control. All of it, part of it, aspects of it, you have not been able to control them and restore order. That's how you get here. And that's what the first step basically is: to admit that you are powerless over the problem. Was to say that you don't have the means at this time by yourself to handle it. Obviously, you're here. You haven't been able to fix it. And your evidence for this is your life has become unmanageable, as they call it. And that's a mild term. Your life has turned into a disaster area. It's like no man's land, but worse. And no one can tell you the misery, the feeling, the defeat, the self loathing, the self doubt that comes of these illnesses, but you know what they are. So, how do you find relief? Well, there's this 12-step program. There's this way to do it that millions of other people have used, so we're going to use that as a framework. But it all starts when you say, I've got the problem. It's here. Admit it. Look at it. What I say is write it down in one sentence or one phrase and look at it and say it. Look at it again, say it several times. Accept for yourself that this is the problem that you have to deal with. Because once you can do that, everything else follows. When you fail to accept that this problem is here, that's when things start to get dicey again. Through this program, through these 12 steps, a lot of things can happen. And I've seen guys who don't work the steps. They just stay off. It's like they just stay abstinent from the problem. And they don't get too far. Now, we shouldn't be too harsh. Some of them can't work the steps. They just lost so much out there. They don't have the mind or the emotions for it. But the people who get the most complete recovery, who get the kind of life they can enjoy, tend to be people who work the steps, who have a program that follow. Okay? I think 30 years of observation is something to pay attention to. So we want to make a commitment to this, but again, we don't want to do the 12 steps Jesus style. We want to do them in a practical, rational way that's going to work for us. We admit there's a problem. It has made our lives unmanageable, and to this point, we haven't had the power to deal with it. What we need to do is very simple. Step 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Let's put that in plain language. Claimed to believe that there was some way in which we could be free of the problem, the tragedy, and the disaster in our lives. Come to believe that we can do something about it, that this can be remedied. It's called hope. And the step after it, when we find that something, turn our will and our lives over to the care? No, that's conventional religion. What we're going to do is we're going to latch on to that thing and we're going to follow its directions. We're going to let it guide us to where we need to be. To say, I'm powerless, I haven't been able to do it, but hey, my way didn't work. Here is a way that does work. Good orderly direction. And that's what these programs are, a way that works. Now I want to give you a little advice up to this point. First of all, follow directions. You didn't know how to get out of the problem, but you're around a lot of people who do, and they're all telling you the same thing. Maybe they're telling you, don't drink, don't drug, don't gamble, don't even touch one. Because that starts the process. They're telling you don't do that. They're telling you go to meetings, talk to people. They're telling you what to do. Follow their directions. When I first came into the rooms, they said 90 meetings in 90 days. I made 89. You try to make 90 meetings in 90 days because you would spend those 90 days doing things that feed the disease. Here's 90 days you're building up strength to deal with the disease, to arrest the disease, to put it on hold, to get it out of the way, to restore your life. So you follow directions. The other thing is, and this I'm very serious about, watch who you latch on to and hang out with when you come in. Look at the people who have stayed in recovery and who have built the kind of life that you would want to build. And listen to those people. Don't listen to the people who have multiple relapses or are lazing about or who are always in trouble. Don't listen to them. Even if they're staying off the problem, they don't have the kind of results that can really help you. Go to the people who put a lot of time together and who really have a life worth living. When I first came in, I was fortunate to find those people and to listen to them. And that's why I'm still here today. A lot of it's listening to the right people. And yeah, we had some cast of characters. But some of those characters, they knew what was needed. They gave me a lot of good orderly direction. They gave me a lot of hope. They were very point blank with me about some things, and other things, when they knew I needed it, they had to give me encouragement. And that's a great thing. So I stress, get with the right people because they're going to make all the difference. Not just what you're reading, but who you're hanging with. That's got to be the best advice I could be. Stick with the winners and you'll do fine. And the other thing is, you need a commitment. I've seen people come in and all of a sudden they get religion in Jesus. I've seen this a lot. And 2 weeks later, after all their preaching and proclaiming how Jesus freed them from the illness, 2 weeks later they're back out to the races. The way to stay in the rooms isn't an instant conversion or an instant miracle. It's commitment. You have to want this thing. You have to desire this thing more than anything else in your life. You have to realize that with recovery, you have everything. Without recovery, you have nothing. Or you're going to lose everything soon. You're eventually going to end up with nothing. The folks in NA say jails, institutions, and death. And you know something? That's about right. That people who, a lot of them die because some of these diseases are deadly. Alcohol can kill you, drugs, gambling, the sex addiction, there's diseases could kill you. Death is a reality. And as one of my friends said, get ready to go to a lot of funerals. Because if you stay in recovery, guaranteed you're going to see some people who don't stay in and pay the ultimate price. Another consequence are institutions, hospitals especially. You keep out there, keep doing the old thing, you're going to be sick, a lot of emergency room visits and hospital stays, or maybe you're going to get mentally sick, a lot of times up in the flight deck, and a lot of visits to rehabs, or worse. That's not. And of course, jails. A lot of people who relapse end up doing crimes that puts them in there for a long time. And you don't want to end up there either. Stay clean, stay sober. Desire it, and the time when your desire isn't strong enough, there may be fear of jails, institutions, and death will get you over the hump until the desire kicks in again. But you're here, and you're taking it seriously. It's all or nothing. Commit to it. Get that desire. This is all I got for the moment. This is Uncle Thor signing out. Have a good recovery and keep at it. I'm hoping for you.